The beginning of the rivalry between Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal was nothing short of legendary. It was a clash that fans had been eagerly anticipating for years, a showdown that promised to be one for the ages. Diaz versus Masvidal 1. This was not just another fight, it was a battle for supremacy, a test of wills between two of the toughest fighters in the UFC. It all started in 2019, UFC 244, Madison Square Garden. The iconic venue was the perfect backdrop for this epic encounter. The atmosphere was electric, with fans from all over the world gathered to witness history in the making. The baddest mother asterisk Saker title was on the line. This wasn't just a fight for a belt, it was a fight for pride, for respect, and for the right to be called the baddest man in the UFC. Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal, two of the UFC's most popular fighters, were set to collide. The fight was electric. From the moment the bell rang, it was clear that this was going to be a war. Both fighters came out swinging, each determined to impose their will on the other. Both men landed heavy shots. The sound of leather hitting flesh echoed through the arena, a testament to the power and precision of these two warriors. Diaz's volume striking was a factor. His relentless pace and ability to throw punches in bunches kept Masvidal on his toes, forcing him to constantly adjust and defend. Masvidal's power shots were dangerous. Each punch he threw had the potential to end the fight, and he made sure to let Diaz know that he was not to be taken lightly. The fight was stopped by the doctor after the third round due to a cut over Diaz's eye. It was a controversial decision, one that left fans and fighters alike debating whether the fight should have continued. Masvidal was awarded the TKO victory. Diaz was furious. He felt that he had been robbed of the opportunity to continue the fight and prove his toughness. He felt the fight was stopped prematurely. He wanted revenge. The rivalry was born. This was not the end. It was just the beginning of a feud that would captivate the MMA world. The stage was set for a rematch. Fans wanted it. The fighters wanted it. The anticipation was palpable, with everyone eager to see these two warriors go at it once more. It was only a matter of time. The countdown to the rematch had begun, and the world was watching, waiting for the next chapter in the epic saga of Diaz versus Masvidal. The lead-up, a grudge match years in the making. This wasn't just any fight, it was personal. The tension was thick, almost tangible, as both fighters prepared to settle a score that had been festering for years. Years passed since their first encounter. That initial clash left an indelible mark on both fighters, setting the stage for an inevitable rematch. The boxing world watched as their rivalry grew, each man determined to prove he was the better fighter. The animosity between Diaz and Masvidal simmered. It was more than just competition. It was a deep-seated grudge that neither could let go. Every interaction, every stare, every word exchanged only added fuel to the fire. They traded barbs in interviews. Each interview was a new chapter in their ongoing saga, with both men taking every opportunity to belittle and challenge the other. The media lapped it up, and fans were hooked. They stared each other down at press conferences. The tension was palpable. Every press conference was a spectacle, with both fighters refusing to back down, their eyes locked in a battle of wills. The rematch was finally announced. The anticipation was electric. Fans had been waiting for this moment, and the announcement sent shockwaves through the boxing community. It was the fight everyone wanted to see. This time, it was a boxing match. No more excuses, no more delays. It was time to settle the score once and for all in the most primal way possible. No gloves, no takedowns, just raw, unfiltered combat. The rules were simple and the stakes were high. It was a test of pure skill and determination. Just two men settling their differences with their fists. The build-up was intense. Both fighters trained harder than ever before, knowing that this fight would define their legacies. Every punch, every move was calculated to ensure victory. Diaz accused Masvidal of running from the rematch. His words were sharp, designed to provoke and challenge. He wanted to get under Masvidal's skin, to make him doubt himself. Masvidal questioned Diaz's heart and toughness. He fired back with his own taunts, questioning Diaz's courage and resolve. The back and forth was relentless, each man trying to gain the psychological edge. The trash talk was relentless. It was a war of words that only heightened the anticipation. Fans couldn't get enough, eagerly awaiting the moment when words would give way to action. Fight night couldn't come soon enough. The world was watching. The stage was set for an epic showdown, a battle that would be remembered for years to come. The air was thick with anticipation, as fans from around the globe tuned in to witness history in the making. Round 1. Diaz takes the center, Masvidal feeling him out. The bell rang. Diaz came out aggressive, immediately asserting his dominance. He moved with purpose, his eyes locked on Masvidal, who was cautiously circling, trying to gauge Diaz's rhythm and find an opening. He took the center of the ring with confidence, planting his feet firmly and preparing to unleash his arsenal of punches. Masvidal circled, looking for his opening, his movements calculated and deliberate. He knew he had to be patient, waiting for the right moment to strike. Diaz landed the first significant punch, a straight left that snapped Masvidal's head back. The impact was clear, and the crowd reacted with a roar. Masvidal was cautious. He respected Diaz's power, understanding that one wrong move could cost him dearly. Diaz continued to press forward, his aggression unrelenting. He was determined to keep Masvidal on the back foot, not giving him any room to breathe or counter. He landed a combination to the body, followed by a left hook to the head. Each punch was precise, showcasing Diaz's skill and experience in the ring. Masvidal fired back with a right hand, but Diaz slipped it effortlessly, his reflexes sharp and his defense solid. The round ended with Diaz in control. He had set the pace and dictated the terms of the fight, leaving Masvidal with much to ponder. He was landing the cleaner punches, each one finding its mark with precision and power. Diaz's strategy was clear: overwhelm Masvidal with relentless pressure and accurate strikes. Masvidal needed to make an adjustment. He had to find a way to disrupt Diaz's rhythm and turn the tide in his favor. The first round had shown him the challenge ahead, and he knew he had to dig deep and come up with a new plan to counter Diaz's aggression and skill. In his corner, Masvidal's coach was giving him advice, urging him to stay calm and focused. They discussed potential strategies, emphasizing the importance of timing and precision. Masvidal had trained hard for this fight, and now it was time to put that training to the test. He needed to adapt quickly, using his speed and agility to outmaneuver Diaz. The key would be to use his jab effectively, keeping Diaz at bay and creating opportunities for counterattacks. Masvidal knew he had the skills to turn the fight around, but it would require a flawless execution of his game plan. As the second round approached, both fighters were ready to continue the battle. Diaz, with his relentless pressure, and Masvidal, with his determination to find a way to win. The crowd was on the edge of their seats, anticipating the next chapter in this thrilling contest. Round 2, Diaz starts to pour it on, Masvidal bleeding. Diaz picked up where he left off in the second round. He was relentless. He landed a hard left hook that cut Masvidal over the eye. Masvidal was bleeding. Diaz smelled blood. He turned up the pressure. Masvidal was on the defensive. He was trying to survive the onslaught. Diaz landed a body shot that made Masvidal wince. The crowd was going wild. They could sense a finish was coming. Masvidal needed to do something drastic. Section 5, Round 3, Masvidal's desperation time. Diaz comfortable. Masvidal came out firing in the third. He knew he was down on the scorecards. He landed a few good shots, but Diaz took them well. Diaz was too experienced. He weathered the storm. Diaz started to taunt Masvidal. He was playing with his food. Masvidal was getting frustrated. He was starting to lose his composure. The round ended with Diaz still in control. He was winning every exchange. Masvidal was running out of time. Section 6, Round 4, Masvidal trying to survive. Diaz in control. Masvidal's corner was urging him to go for the knockout. They knew he needed a finish to win. Masvidal came out swinging, but Diaz was ready for him. Diaz landed a counter right hand that sent Masvidal stumbling backwards. Masvidal was hurt. Diaz went in for the kill, but Masvidal was able to survive the round. The fight was slipping away from Masvidal. He was running out of time. Diaz was on his way to victory. Section 7, Round 5. Diaz cruises to victory. Masvidal, disappointed. The final round was a mere formality. Diaz was in complete control. He landed at will. Masvidal was just trying to survive to the final bell. The bell rang, signaling the end of the fight. Diaz had his revenge. He won a dominant, unanimous decision victory. The scorecards read 50-45, 50-45, and 49-46, all in favor of Diaz. Masvidal was gracious in defeat. He congratulated Diaz. Diaz had proven he was the better man that night. Section 8, The Aftermath, Diaz's speech and Masvidal's respect. Diaz was ecstatic after the fight. He had waited years for this moment. He had finally avenged his loss to Masvidal. He had cemented his legacy as one of the toughest fighters in MMA history. "I told you, mother***seekers, Diaz said in his post-fight interview. "I'm the best in the world." Jorge is a tough dude, but I'm on another level. Masvidal was disappointed with the loss, but he gave Diaz credit. Nate fought a great fight, Masvidal said. He was the better man tonight. I'll be back. Section 9. What this win means for Nate Diaz's legacy. This win was huge for Diaz's career. It proved that he was still a force to be reckoned with. He had beaten one of the best fighters in the world. He had done it in dominant fashion. Diaz is a fan favorite. He is known for his toughness, his heart, and his willingness to fight anyone. This win only solidified his status as a legend of the sport. Section 10. What's next for Nate Diaz? Potential opponents and options. After such a decisive win, Diaz has several options for his next move. He could pursue a rematch with Conor McGregor, a fight that would generate massive pay-per-view buys. He could also test the waters in boxing, potentially facing a big name like Jake Paul. Alternatively, Diaz could choose to retire on a high note. He has accomplished everything in the sport. He has nothing left to prove. Whatever he decides, Diaz's future is bright. Section 11. What's next for Jorge Masvidal, a crossroads in his career? For Masvidal, this loss stings. He has now lost 3 fights in a row. He needs to make some changes if he wants to stay at the top of the welterweight division. Masvidal is still a dangerous fighter. He has knockout power in both hands. He just needs to find a way to put it all together. He needs to get back to his winning ways.